Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Tevora Talks. I am your host, Cash, joined as always by my co-host and partner in cybercrime, Mr. Matt Mosley. How's it going, Matt?
Is going good. We are in the Q4, a little stressed, got a lot of work, but we are good to go.
I know, it's like what do they say? It's the final inning.
It's the
Pretty
final
much of the
countdown.
year. Final countdown.
Final countdown.
Let me
I
tell you,
can't sing.
I am ready for the holidays. I can't sing either if it makes you feel better. This tone of my voice, that's it. It doesn't go higher, it doesn't go lower. This is it. But yeah, holidays are around the corner. I'm excited for the holidays. I'm
Absolutely
open to taking a break. But as you know, as many of us in the cyber industry know, that holidays only mean that it's open season typically for hackers. And that's usually when they like to do stuff because they know everybody's either, taking their PTO on vacation, defenses are down, and everybody's kind of tired and whatnot. And that's usually when a lot of chaos goes down.
Skeleton crews monitoring, all that good stuff. Prime hunting for the threat actors out there.
For sure. Q4, prime hunting time. So if you're listening to this and you actually did listen to it while it's being loaded here into the internet in Q4, be cautious, stay vigilant. This is a time when a lot of crazy stuff happens, and it's kind of starting to happen, right? Recently, I think within the past week or 2 weeks now, we've been, getting hit, not us personally, but we've been seeing a lot of DDoS attacks popping up.
Yep.
And it's not necessarily, a specific APT group or anything like that targeting businesses and whatnot. It's a lot of it is being sprawled up because of the, growing tensions between the US, Russia, Ukraine, and all that.
Yep.
And in the past couple of weeks, there's a group, they're calling themselves Killnet. And they're very straightforward, right? They have their Twitter page, they have their Telegram channel, they're talking about themselves, they're talking about the attacks that they've conquered, and they're kind of slowly going after different areas of government sectors. In the past couple of weeks, they've, attacked, I'm sure you've read some stories, and they've attacked, different things like airports, right? I've read
O'Hare,
airports.
LAX.
Yep, O'Hare, LAX, airports, different government divisions. And most recently today, I read that they're not 100% positive it's the same Killnet group, but
yeah, they do have a lot of rogue groups associated with them. Yep.
for sure rogue group. And they think this is another one of those rogue groups. This rogue group responsible for the most recent attack, they're called Radis, RADIS. And in their Telegram post, they reference, the Killnet team also in their bio. So some people are thinking it's Killnet, but like you said, they think it's maybe a rogue group. But what do? These DDoS attacks today, they targeted specifically the FBI and one of the FBI websites, or a part of an FBI website. So that site did go down. And, for those who don't know what a DDoS attack is, it's essentially, some hacker groups getting a bunch of computers to request, commands or get commands or whatnot to a specific site.
Traffic. Yep.
Yeah, send a lot of traffic there at the same time, more than what that server can handle. And essentially what happens is for, the average person who's actually trying to get to the server to access, normal resources, it kind of cripples that server's ability to respond. So shuts it down. And what's the downside? The downside is sometimes these, DDoS attacks, on the hackers end, it requires a lot of resources, right? It's not just one computer consistently blasting, but it can last an hour. It can last hours. It can last days.
Yeah.
It could last a month. And there's really no super good way to avoid it. I mean, there's strategies.
Yeah.
And there's current tools out there. Some are easier to implement than others. And, you've kind of taught me about some of them. But
I worked with a guy who claimed he could predict DDoS attacks.
You can
Uh,
predict
you,
them? How?
you know who you are out there. You're full of BS. But yeah,
That's almost like I can predict when the aliens are coming kind of deal.
I don't know what his thought process was behind it, but there's yeah, it's not like a seismograph when you can feel the ground vibrating and then all of a sudden predict an earthquake. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
so, but if you're listening, you know who you are. You should be ashamed of yourself. But yeah,
But
DDoS, distributed denial of service attack. It's basically just getting a bunch of computers, like you said, to send a lot of traffic at one service, whether it's a web server or remote desktop or SSH, whatever. Just inundating it with so much traffic and commands that it can't process. And then eventually the availability of that service goes down so to where nobody can access it. So,
and it's kind of tricky, right? Because it's like, okay, you have server X, and for the most part, it's servers that are, in the DMZ, right? Internet facing, public to the world.
yep.
But what do you do? Because after that, server that's out there, your next line of defense is pretty much the ISP for the most part, unless you implement some external tools and whatnot, like you suggested, like Cloudflare, for
Yeah, there's
example.
service providers that'll help mitigate it with some DNS redirection and all that good stuff. Yeah, routing. I mean, that's the best strategy is rerouting the traffic, hiding, to the point where you hide the original source. And you can also do content delivery networks where your main site is copied and repeated across the globe on multiple servers. And then people can access the most or the closest server to them. Which is, I mean, that's used by a lot of the big companies, right? Just to get content delivered fast to end users, but it can also be used to help mitigate DDoS attacks. So yeah, there's a couple different strategies. None of them I think are that easy to roll out when you're being attacked, but preparation can definitely help you.
Yeah, and I think like as far as the ISPs go, right? So the ISPs are definitely on top of these things themselves too. They're constantly scanning, they're constantly updating their own, block lists that they're like the first line of defense, I would like to say. But like you mentioned, I mean, we've been on several DDoS, kind of related attacks in our past, and it's kind of like, well, we know there's maybe like 20 different IPs attacking us. Okay, we'll block those,
Yeah.
right? At the very minimum, we'll block them manually on our firewall or something. But like you said, there are so many different IPs available, and
Right. It's whack-a-mole.
yeah, it's whack-a-mole, right? You can just temporary band-aid on it. And sometimes, me and you talk about this, I write about these in my scenarios I develop too, is sometimes I use a DDoS to kind of divert your attention a little bit.
Yep.
Like, hey, look over here, your server's down and everybody's freaking out. But at the same time, they're like doing something else over here. And everybody's, by the time they notice what's happening on this side, they possibly already dropped the malware or whatnot. So, it really comes down to how well prepared you are, the types of tools you have. And both you and I know some tools can get a little pricey, especially when you're rolling it out to, more than, 5 servers. Some companies have hundreds and hundreds of servers.
I mean, the
So,
good solutions won't even let you roll it out to 5. Right. They require like a minimum of, 500 endpoints.
we've been on certain investigations where it's like, well, what do you have in place? Do you have your EDR? Have you noticed any kind of alerts? And they don't really have a good EDR solution. Then we'll say something like, hey, what about firewall? Can we look at firewall logs to make sure, after they, attacked server X, they didn't have any lateral movement or you didn't try to pivot to any other system? Where are your firewall logs? How can we access those? And we've had timeless times where, hey, server logs aren't being pumped into any kind of log aggregator or SIM.
Right. Can't correlate the data.
Can't correlate the data or
easily, I should say. We can do it manually, but we have to pull logs from multiple sources.
For sure. And then that
If
becomes
they
its own
exist.
problem. If they exist, exactly, right? It's like, okay, we get the logs, send us them manually. We'll, put our sticky note wall and timeline and the whole 9 yards, like, old school forensic crime scene. But then it's like, hey, we got attacked on Monday and today is Thursday and our logs only go back to Tuesday.
Yep.
And it's like, all right, what's the next strategy? And then it's
I mean, how often would you say that happens to us on investigations or when we get called in to find out what's going on?
way too often.
Right.
Way too often. I mean, I don't want to put like a high number and say 80% of the time, even though that's pretty close to realistic.
I was gonna say, but that's pretty, yeah.
you know, um, yeah, it happens all the time. Like local system logs are limited. Firewall logs, of course, you can. If for those out there saying, well, firewall logs, that racks up data, and understandable, right? Tons and tons of data, but there's solutions. You can go back 6 months, a year, then dump stuff into cold storage and whatnot, because you just never know how far back you need to go. But I think no matter what, at least let's get a couple weeks of log retention at the minimum, maybe a month if you can.
Yep. Well, the best practices is what, 3 months accessible and then a year on backup, right? That you can pull from archive.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's best practice, but I'm saying based on what we've seen, I'm giving a new benchmark. We're going for one push-up. You know what I'm saying? At least give me a couple weeks.
We're going for one.
We're going for one, Shout out to Sergeant Bilko movie reference for those that haven't seen. But yeah, DDoS it's just more of an annoyance because for the most part, they really don't cause too much chaos after the fact from what we've seen. But, depending on the type of business you are, if it's like some kind of, secondary site and your typical traffic there daily is not too high, then, you can kind of live until the DDoS attack's over.
Yeah.
But if it's like a critical service, it's like a server that's client facing, or, you do a lot of e-commerce solution and 2 hours of downtime where no one can go on your site and push orders through or check on their accounts or make payments, that can add up, right? 2 hours of downtime for a larger company can be a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, not DDoS, but some major e-commerce companies they suffered the brute forcing attacks not too long ago. That was a little bit of a denial of service just because the servers weren't inundated. But like North Face, not too long ago, had people brute forcing logins, and they had to kind of shut down for a little bit to, gain the advantage over the attackers. So I'm sure they cost them a couple dollars while they were trying to mitigate that issue. So, but yeah, as we go into the holiday season, we should probably be. I'm sure people will be finding that an issue on the legit side of just trying to go to a website and not being able to access it because everybody's trying to get that deal.
Yep. It's right? It's kind of like a DDoS attack, but it's not by a hacker it's
like
just
the Reddit hug of death, where everybody sees a new link and they go to it and then the site goes down. Because everybody wanted to see it.
Perfect. That's like I remember when PlayStation 5 dropped. They're like, it's dropping on Monday. Oh my god, that broke, I think, PlayStation's website for days.
Exactly.
Days. Like mid-order, you have like 3 minutes to order, and you hit like submit. You put your credit card data, and it's like endless spin, and then it just times out, and there goes your order. But Black Friday right around the corner.
Yeah, Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
Cyber Monday's there. And beyond like denial of service issues, you see a lot of different stuff for those days, right? Typically.
I mean, yeah, especially as a former PCI forensic investigator, that was pretty common is e-commerce sites getting, information scraped. Big group named MageCart, and there's a couple spin-offs of that group, but they basically hacked the website some way, right? Whether it's a vulnerability that's known, or they use credentials that are default credentials, or they phish someone, but they get in and they implant their malicious code And then basically what it does is it just listens for, not listens, but it checks to see what input's being put in, and then it sends it out to one of their servers. And in the past, a lot of companies have fallen victim to this, and it still happens today. I mean, we used to get calls like this all the time, and I imagine after PFI we'll probably get some more calls. But yeah, and the way you combat that as a consumer is never input your real credit card information, right? And I've talked about this in the past.
For sure,
do
for
you
sure.
use it?
I haven't used the solution
See?
you provided me.
You never listen. You never listen to me.
I rely on PayPal. I rely on PayPal.
Yeah, I do PayPal a lot. And then the onus is on PayPal, right? If my stuff gets stolen. But if you don't want to use PayPal, or the site doesn't have that, privacy.com, it's free to sign up. You go on there and you can generate credit card numbers for specific amounts for specific websites. And what it does is it hooks into your checking account, but it allows you to share the fake credit card number or the generated credit card number to pay for that item. And then the money goes out of your checking account to privacy.com, and then privacy.com handles it all. But it keeps your actual banking information safe, right? Because you're not using your actual credit card number. It's super easy to set up. You can get a little browser plugin that helps you generate cards.
That's
the
cool.
nice thing about it that I do on a monthly basis is I have different services like Netflix or Hulu, and I set the amount to like $8 or whatever. And if that credit card ever gets stolen at Hulu, one, they can only charge it for $8, but two, privacy.com doesn't even allow them to use it on a different website. So it's great.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool.
It's awesome. And so I use that all the time with my online shopping, especially for sites that it's a good deal, but I'm not too sure on their security.
For sure.
And I've even had times where like legit, this is a true story of my own, saw a great deal on like a Roku and bought it from this fake website and got scammed. And privacy.com actually returned my money. So I did not lose any money. It was great.
What a good service.
Yep. So definitely recommend.
I know I've said it like 6 times, but this will be 7. I'm definitely going to use them now.
Yeah, because you never know. I mean, even on legit sites, a few years back, Magecart hit British Airways and they hit Ticketmaster. And so you just never know. I mean, these companies do their best to help secure these things, but I mean, back then it was a really clever attack. It was the first time we ever seen anything like that. So it's a little bit harder now. Most of the bigger e-commerce places like Newegg and Amazon and all that, they know how to defend against this stuff. But if you can, I recommend using privacy.com whenever possible. So I do. And I'm not sponsored by them. They don't pay me anything. I'm just telling you to help you out. I tell all my family and friends. So, but that's definitely a huge thing to do for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, especially when you're buying stuff online.
Yeah, and I guess like beyond that, then what? Like, okay, let's say I got that card, but you just still got to, vouch for the site, I guess, at the very minimum. Right. But I guess some of these are very challenging. They're getting real good at scraping these sites and making them look pretty smashing, right? Oh man, we found stuff hidden in the fave icon. We found stuff that made to look like it was like Google tag, the advertising, like AdWords. Oh, okay, and they actually used the Google tag library to execute their attack. Because like how like you have libraries like jQuery and stuff like that. Yeah. This used the Google tag one that Google requires that you embed on your website so you can do the AdWords and stuff, and or not AdWords, but the Google Analytics. And I mean, they are sophisticated, like really good. Used to be easy to spot them too. Like we could go through a website source code and like look at the encoding source code and look at the JavaScript. It was like base 64 encoded or something. It was easy to spot. Now they've blended it in with like legit coding, and it's really hard to spot. But there are some services out there which, if anybody's wondering, just email us and we'll let you know. But there's some good vendors out there that help protect against that. So
But for the consumer side, definitely privacy.com. So,
Yeah,
and
no, privacy.com, I'm definitely down with, because like, for example, like I said, I use PayPal, but there's some sites out there like these mom and pop stores that, maybe sell arts and crafts or small little one-off items. They have like a very basic site and they still do e-commerce, but maybe that site hasn't been touched in years.
right.
And they don't have PayPal ability. It's like the most basic credit card form. And every time I go to one of those sites, I'm like, man, I really want this thing, but I don't want to put my credit card. I don't even want to put my own personal name on this website, really.
Right. Right. I
But
mean,
no,
I've shown up
privacy.com.
to places where it was kind of sketchy and the person wanted my credit card number. And like I'm not even exaggerating. This is a real story. I went to a hotel, which was actually a like a Airbnb, and the guy at the front desk um tried to take a picture of my credit card to send to someone else to process the payment.
Okay.
And I said, no, you're not doing that. I said, I'll give you a number and then you can text that over to your whoever's processing the payment. And I used privacy.com to generate the number real quick. And I limited it to to the money that they needed. So, but yeah, man, there's some weird stuff. So it comes in handy. And also if you have subscriptions like the gym, I've done this too with my gym so that if I ever want to cancel, I don't need to be worried about, some companies that are open all day and provide fitness.
Yeah.
I don't need to worry about them charging me for 6 months after I've already canceled.
It's so funny.
But yeah, and then and when you're in the store too, I don't know if it's just me wearing a tinfoil hat and being in security, but I always check the terminal. Is that something you do? I always
Yeah,
wiggle.
I started to do it. I do it every time I like have to use an ATM. I
Yep.
go and like there's like some guy
Gas
behind me and he
station.
sees I'm like I'm rubbing with the area where you shove the card in, like trying to pull it apart. And I'm like, okay, no, this is fine. I
Yeah,
can't pull
yeah. I
anything out of
always
the
like
ATM.
touch the sides, kind of wiggle where the card goes, put my
Yeah,
fingernail there, see if I can lift it up.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
at the gas station, I'm always like wiggling the whole credit card thing, trying to see if it comes off. So that's my other tip, I guess, for Black Friday, Cyber Monday is, when you're physically at the store to, wiggle the terminal, see if see if it's loose.
Something.
Yeah. So that's it. That's all I got. Unless we have something else sparks my weird brain.
No, that's it. I mean, you mentioned something about Google and like how there's like this code is getting so advanced and whatnot. Not to say they have anything malicious per se, but Google was recently, they've been in this lawsuit for location tracking.
Oh yeah.
They settled it yesterday. You know how much?
I did read that. Yeah, I was like a few
Three,
million.
2 million,
No, a few.
way more than a few, $392 million settlement with over 40 states.
That's crazy. And none of us are going to see any of that money.
Yeah, that was what I was just thinking. I'm like, where does that money go?
Yeah, I mean that would be
So who are they
nice, but
settling that with?
I'm
Like,
not
where's
going
that
to
like?
get any of that. I didn't win Powerball, by the way. That's why I'm still here talking on this
Neither did I,
podcast.
man. Tear to my eye.
I mean the whole country, the population of the United States as of 2021 was 331 million. So everyone could technically get $1, I guess. Well, not after legal fees,
Yeah,
but
legal fees. After legal fees, everybody will get maybe a penny. That's how that works.
but we're not going to get anything. I mean, I don't know. Are we
Yeah,
expected to get anything? I'm
I
still
don't
waiting
know.
on Expedia, or not Expedia. What's the
Experian?
Experian? When are we going to get paid for that?
Yeah, never.
So anyway,
See, like here, I'm reading on the attorneygeneral.gov website for the Google thing, and it's saying like Pennsylvania is supposed to receive about $20 million of the settlement. But then what?
yeah,
Like, we were the ones being tracked, but Pennsylvania gets the 20 mil? Like, who in Pennsylvania gets that 20 mil? I don't know, something suspect.
And there's only 13 million people in Pennsylvania. So come on.
Is there? That's it? That's all they got?
You got LA that has like, greater population than like, except for like 4 states in the United States.
But
I'll shut up.
no, too soon. And I guess to that, Cyber Monday, Black Friday, takeaway, be cautious, not just of the site you're going on. Emails, tons of phishing emails probably coming through with, fake coupons or, amazing deals. Be cautious before you click on anything. Simplest thing, just hover over the link. If it's from Macy's, I don't want to use Macy's because they're probably the worst example.
Yeah. Yeah, just check the links. Yeah.
Just check your links, right? Make sure you're actually clicking on the site. And if it is from like a big retailer, maybe just go to their website. Or
Yep,
if you really,
exactly.
really, if it's like a coupon that's 60% off, if it sounds too good to be true, it likely is. But at the same time, these hackers are getting a little bit more clever and just doing simple coupons too. Those could also be potentially malicious. Those
Yeah,
links.
so you did spark my brain. A lot of shipping notifications where your package has been delayed. You get this text message. Watch out for those. A lot of bank fraud alerts going on. Fake bank fraud alerts. Don't click on any of them. If you get a message like that, call your bank using their number on the back of your credit card or your debit card. Don't call the number that was sent to you via the text message. Don't click any links or anything like that. Yep. I watched that firsthand.
And speaking of like calling just customer service, the funny thing is, it went through my mind. I think it's just being in this business now. It increases my paranoia too. They always say, "Yeah, sir, can you verify yourself with your PIN?" I'm like, wait, let's just take a step back for a second.
Yeah, can you verify yourself?
Yeah, how do I know you're you? Like I heard your hold music, but then that's so easily I can hit record right now and play the same hold music on my voicemail.
Yeah.
Not hard. But
yeah, I've had people call me like, "Hey, we're just calling you because your subscription's about to expire and we just want to renew it." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And then they're like, "Can you provide a credit card number?" I'm like, "Do you use the one that was there last year?"
Yeah, same one.
And they're like, "Well, we don't have that information available to you." And I'm like, or to them, And I said, "Well, I work in cybersecurity, man. Sorry, like I'm not providing that information over the phone." I said, "Unless you have it in front of you and I can verify it, I'll call back or I'll go through the website and renew my subscription." Like I'm not doing that over the phone.
Or option B, we get, the FBI on the phone. I always just say that sometimes just to mess with them. Majority of the time they hang up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So use that, drop that line. That's it works. Let me get the FTC on the line.
But I hope you have a great holiday, Thanksgiving.
You as well.
Enjoy the Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals.
Hopefully I want to get a TV, so hopefully I can get a good deal on one. But for everybody else out there, stay vigilant. If you go to a website and it's overwhelmed, nothing you can really do about it at that time. Just kind of write it out, because whoever's managing that server on the back end, believe me, they're freaking out about it more than you are.
Yeah.
And to the Killnet group, their campaign, I guess, is kind of shifting to different countries. So United States, maybe not a prime target anymore, although there are still, like you said, there are still rogue divisions, I guess, of Killnet group that may or may not be acting alone. And I guess that's really it. Anything else? Anything else we want to talk about?
That's it for me.
All right, then. Well, till next time, if you don't hear from us, y'all have a amazing holidays to come, and we'll hopefully be able to squeeze in another episode or two before the end of the year. And with that said, for the time being, I guess we'll talk to y'all later.